The Canadian government has been put on pause. Politicians are expected to hit the campaign trail soon after the Prime Minister resigned yesterday, leaving the Liberal leadership up for grabs. A lot to discuss here with it, what lies ahead, and the events that brought us here. Sarbjit Kaur, co-founder of Kapow Communications, and Jamie Ellerton, principal with Canaptus. Thank you to you both for joining. What an interesting, I want to say 24 hours, but it's been beyond the 24 hours. This has been months, perhaps years leading into what we saw happen yesterday. I want to begin with you, Sarbjit. For the Liberal Party, can they turn this around? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely an opportunity for a fresh start to re-engage the Liberal base, the existing party members, and some who may have been feeling disenfranchised or looking for change. So anytime when there is a leadership race, it's an exciting time for party members to share ideas, to talk about maybe where mistakes have been made, what can be done differently, and basically bring in fresh blood and rejuvenate the whole party.
If they are bringing in fresh blood, you know, the name Mark Carney, not fresh blood per se, because people are very familiar with him as former Bank of Canada governor, but fresh in this round here, that's one name that's been thrown around as potentially taking the leadership. We've heard a few other names, lots of speculation here. Is there anyone that you could see that could really change things?
I think there's quite a few potential contenders that could change things. And despite the fact that they may have been part of an existing government, until you are the leader, you don't really have the same type of authority to set policy and call the shots. So it's a different ballgame altogether. And then the combination of experience for a person like Mark Carney, that comes in handy as well, especially as we see a Trump administration where there are going to be a lot of challenges and a need for that experience. So some of the names that have been around, I think, are very strong and don't like to speculate, but it could be some of the women candidates that would pose a very stark contrast to Pierre Poilievre, some of the younger candidates, and again, some of the people that are considered as maybe like the wise old owls of the party that have a lot of steady-handed experience.
Right. Jamie, we heard, okay, Pierre Poilievre. Right away, we heard this changes nothing. That was the wording in the video, in the statement. Like, it doesn't matter who's leading the party. This is still the Liberal Party that has done not a lot or negative things for our Canadians, at least from their perspective. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think when you look at all the names being bandied about, it's very hard to say there is change going to be made. Like, Chrystia Freeland has literally done everything with Justin Trudeau in the past 10 years, except quit together. She got out about 3 weeks before he did. I think when you look at some of the names being bandied about, it seems more like a vanity contest as to who's going to be the most popular amongst Liberals. But yet again, we're now going on month 9 of Liberals only talking about themselves and the future of the party, while the government of Canada is essentially operating in a state of paralysis. You have incoming President Trump daily mocking the Prime Minister and our country writ large with very little response. And so I think when you look at the seriousness of this, I think it's going to be incredibly hard for any of the names we're hearing to actually say they're a credible change agent when they've essentially been co-authoring these problems with Justin Trudeau for years.
For both of you, is there enough time here for a new candidate, whoever they are, whether they are, you know, current cabinet minister or someone from the outside, to come in, make a name for themselves, have Canadians fall in love with them and want to vote for them versus Pierre Poilievre or any other party? Is there enough time? This is a short window that we're looking at for this leadership race, and then for us to potentially head to the polls come, let's say, May or early spring at some point. What do you think? Is there enough time to do anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising what people can do when they have to hustle. And, you know, people will have, their calls are being made, teams are being organized. Many people who have put their name forward, they've been thinking about this for a while now. They have their strategy. So the leadership race can be executed quickly. You know, it's a matter of renewing your membership and showing up to vote. And then in terms of the election, realistically, most voters actually turn their mind to the election in the final weeks and they make their choice, unless they're already, you know, very much decided. So I think there's plenty of time, and at the end of the day, it's going to be who executes a campaign and convinces Canadians in the time that they have their attention.
While government is prorogued until March 24th, public perception is key. You know, a lot of Canadians might say, well, nothing's getting done at this point. So what do I do? You know, there might be people sitting in that middle position where they're like, does my vote even matter? What is even going on here? What do you say to those people that are sitting in the middle, where maybe they used to be hardcore liberal and now they're like, I don't know what I should be doing. What do you make of public perception right now?
So I think probably inertia and apathy is the best thing that the Liberal Party has going forward. But the reality of Parliament having been prorogued, I think there's very few levers the opposition truly has to try and force the current Prime Minister on his way out the door, Justin Trudeau's hand, between now and Parliament coming back at the end of March. Now, if we start to see mass protests in the streets and saying, like, hey, it's time to go, of course, that kind of civic engagement and democratic activism literally on the streets, mass mobilization might force the Prime Minister's hand sooner. But I don't think you're really seeing that. And so if you're the Liberal Party today, I think really you have to be honest. You are going to lose the next election. There is no real hope. And we know that the NDP and the Liberals have effectively become indistinguishable to the average Canadian in terms of what they stand for. So this is a fight for the soul of the Liberal Party and what they're going to be going forward and what that debate is. And I think you kind of see it here in Ontario with Bonnie Crombie, where she's trying to chart her own path, but she doesn't want to offend Justin Trudeau and the federal Liberals. And they're like, again, they're so consumed with inside the Liberal tent, they forget what they're actually supposed to be doing, which is fighting for the province or fighting for Canadians. And so I think when that kind of dynamic that's coming play here, I think this is going to be a very divisive process for the Liberal Party. And I think it's going to rip it apart even further. And it's probably going to lead to their complete wipeout in the next election if the current trend holds.
You're shaking your head.
No, I really disagree. I think, if anything, the Prime Minister's resignation, you've already seen a shift in tone where people get a chance to stop and reflect. There's been a lot of positive feelings towards the contributions of not only Prime Minister Trudeau himself, but the whole party. We're talking about, a national dental care program, a national daycare program, a national pharmacare program, legalization of weed, major immigration changes that were recently completed to address some of the concerns that people had. So there's a huge list of accomplishments, and that's what people want to see now. What's next? So I wouldn't say that there has been, a terrible record. I mean, people like governments who work together to deliver for Canadians. The NDP, the Liberals, have done exactly that. The Bloc has also demonstrated a willingness, and Pierre Poilievre's personal likability rankings continue to tank, which I believe is why they're in such a rush to force an election before the wheels start falling off their bus.
Well, we have run out of time, but we can talk forever. There's a lot that can happen in the days to come, the weeks to come, and please do come back to us because I'd love to continue this conversation. Sarbjit Kaur and Jamie Ellerton, thank you so much for your time, and we'll chat again.
Anytime. Thanks, Melanie.
Thank you.